So first of all, good morning to you, James, since you're there in, is it London? I
Yeah,
assume?
yeah,
Yeah, up
South
in
London.
London,
Yeah,
South
morning.
London. Here with writer director of Black Cab, which will be screening at the UK Spotlight of Holy Shorts Friday 21st at 2:30 p.m. How you're feeling? And yeah, first visit to LA. What does it feel like?
First visit, first time. I'm really excited. It's nice to have a reason to come out. We screened my last film at Holly Short's London last year, so
hmm
come out this year for a different film to LA will be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. So I loved Black Cab. I think it's a very good thriller where it escalates till its final climatic moment. And I wanted to start off with asking what inspired you to make this film.
I guess it was a mix of things. Partly, first of all, I came across maybe like 5 or 6 years ago now,
hmm
really early footage of one of the companies that were kind of developing this self-driving tech. I think it was Wave, which is like the Microsoft backed one,
hmm
and it had this really kind of uncanny feel about it, seeing how this car and this vehicle kind of analyzed everything around it, and it just got me interested in, first of all, how quickly that tech would kind of develop and start
hmm
having on society, and then also just thinking about what kind of jobs are really at risk at a time where I think we're all kind of slightly worried about preserving our place in the world, whether it's people in the film industry worried about AI, or
hmm
people that drive delivery vehicles or trucks across the states. So all this kind of thing is at risk for different reasons. So I kind of became obsessed with that tech and thought, oh, I've maybe got a couple of years, we'll make the film, and then we'll still
hmm
be a few years away seeing this tech in the UK. But lo and behold, as is often the case with technology, it's developed much quicker than a lot of us thought. And Waymo is
hmm
about to launch in the UK. So
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, I think they're gunning for later this year. They're already on the streets now testing. So I've gone from
hmm
writing this script and not seeing any of these vehicles in real life, and then as we're releasing the film, they're kind of stalking London, getting ready to launch. So
Yeah,
it's
film making its like real debut
yeah,
before the time of the film. And I've
yeah,
seen those type of cars here in LA and they're kind of freakish. It freaks me out that there's no one driving. It's
yeah. I mean,
still uncanny.
I feel like I've got to get one just as a
Uh-huh.
research stage, so just to just
Yeah.
feel what it's like. But yeah, really strange and surreal to see them in real life
hmm
already.
So what you've said about AI and all of that kind of links to my next question, which watching the film, I feel like it's so much more about than just a cab driver and his struggles with this new medium of transport. And I wanted to know, did you have any other ideas about how to tell the story of like technology versus humanity in other ways, or were you always hooked and set on the cab drivers?
I think I mean in the research stage, I was also fascinated by things like how many people, millions of people, make a living driving trucks in like the States and also
hmm
around
hmm
Europe. But I think I settled quite quickly on this idea of the black cab driver. I think it's just so synonymous with British culture, and it's such a recognizable thing. And they've already
hmm
kind of had to deal with the onslaught of Uber and this kind of thing. The self-driving cars is like the next stage of their fight, so to speak. So
hmm
I think it quite quickly became about a black cab driver for me. Yeah.
And jumping onto the thing you said about black cabs being such a big culture in London, how does that relate to the film? Like, what importance does the fact that it's a black cab? It's like to put a parallel to it, like the yellow cabs in New York. Like,
Mm.
how does a black cab feel like in London?
I think it is one of those things where I'm British, so maybe my
hmm
perspective is slightly different to someone who's not from here. But you think of Britain, you think of London, you think of like Big Ben, red
hmm
buses, maybe red telephone boxes. Black cabs have got to be in the top five, I think. So and they are everywhere. So I think when
hmm
you're, they are just kind of something that seeps into the city itself and your kind of experience of it, especially if you get one and chat to one of these drivers. I think I obviously
Hmm.
did a lot of research and did spend a lot of time with them and talking to them. Most of them are really proud of what they do. I feel like they do
Hmm.
feel like that they represent London somehow and are very proud of the role they play in educating tourists and showing people where to go and
Hmm.
helping people get where they need to go. So I think they feel like guardians of the city somehow. So and that kind
Hmm.
of eats into the importance of the job for them. So it's something that they really tie up to their own identity a lot. And I think that was what was most interesting about them.
Yeah, because as you say, I think it's not like just about the ride or getting to the destination, but this film also follows the importance of riding with someone that can give you a conversation where that can help you like through your
Mhm.
struggles, and it's someone you don't know but who you trust. And in that research that you did and those rides that you went in, is there a particular story that stood out to you?
From cab drivers, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Some
Um,
stories that they might have told you, or experiences they've had, or experiences that you may have had while riding a black cab.
I mean, I guess there's loads of interesting things that came up that informed like the script as a whole. I don't think
Hmm.
there wasn't like any particular story that worked its way in. Although I think most of them have had experiences with someone being drunk and sick in the cab, so
Hmm.
that to kind of work its way in. But there's loads of really nice things as well. Like there's a kind of unwritten rule that cab drivers would give a pregnant woman a free ride to the hospital and things
Hmm.
like that. So they have a kind of a, a code, almost like an unwritten code about certain things and how they respond to certain journeys. And then I just think overall, yeah, most of the cab drivers I spoke to were just really passionate, kind, enthusiastic people,
Hmm.
regardless of what they thought the future might hold, and also all ages. So it was a really interesting kind of journey for me to research the film and speak to all these different people with different experiences. But yeah, it all kind of worked its way in somehow, I think.
Hmm. This film drives you, pun intended, through the streets of London as the short slowly starts building up the tension until the final climactic scene. Something that me as a viewer, I quite didn't expect where the tension would go through, and then it makes sense perfectly. And I wanted to know, as writer director, how was it building this tension, and how was it following that narrative thread with the wife and all the problems that the cab driver has.
That's a great question. I feel like I think what informed building the tension anyway
Mhm.
was just this notion that, and hopefully this comes across to people that see the film, but he's got great intentions, Harry. I think
Mhm.
he's trying to battle the cynicism around him initially and be that positive kind of force that still believes everything will be okay. And I think I was interested in exploring how that is slowly eroded as he kind of realizes the
Mhm.
gravity of the situation and the implication of these cars expanding across London and really impacting his business. So he's kind of almost helpless in a way, and he just has to realize in his own time over the
Mhm.
course of the that maybe he's not fighting a winning battle.
Let's
That's okay.
let's if that's okay, let's take that question
Yeah,
from the top. We were discussing as how you build that tension as
yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
writer director.
Yeah, so I think the in terms of building the tension, it was really, I guess the end point I always wanted to reach was Harry's, and for anyone that watches the film, this isn't
Mhm.
giving too much away, but just his realization that maybe he's fighting a losing battle, and so I wanted to start the film with him being this kind of positive guy, trying to rally
Mhm.
those around him who are already maybe a bit more cynical, some of his fellow drivers and even his wife. And he has this kind of like naive optimism, I think, about his situation. And I wanted to explore how that could be eroded throughout the film and reach this kind of
Mhm.
point, a realization that maybe as one individual, he can't fight the onslaught of technology and convenience, right? So I think it was for me about realizing where I needed to go and then building the tension throughout in all aspects of his life. But I think I like to put characters through pretty hard times to come
Hmm.
to realization, I think. So that was kind of the goal.
Well, it works perfectly.
Great.
One thing that stood out to me in the first minute of the film and also kept me intrigued is the decision to shoot in film rather than in digital, especially since it's a film set in the near future. Tell me about your decision on this.
Yeah, so we really wanted it to feel like it had this interesting push and pull. So it's set in the near future, but our visual approach was almost like it's something out of the 80s. I wanted
Hmm.
people to maybe, if say you flipped a TV channel and just came across it, I wanted it to feel like something that was probably a bit older.
Hmm.
And the decision for that was really about Harry's world is kind of slightly outdated, the world he occupies and lives in, and so I wanted it to have this slightly retro feel,
Hmm.
and that's something my DP Adam and I were set on from the start, and then that informed our whole visual approach. So it's got that kind of slightly outdated analog retro feel to it, but exploring themes of technology, AI, near future.
Hmm.
I hope that kind of dynamic works well.
It does. It does perfectly. And also jumping again on the bus of cinematography,
Mm.
the film is really enclosed and it feels kind of claustrophobic at times. I can't remember if there was one or two shots where you open up the frame. Was this intentional, or did you talk it with your DP? Did you ever thought of opening up the frame a bit, or how was it?
In terms of close-ups and wides and things
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was partly as is the case with making a film.
Hmm.
Like, some things were planned and some things were just logistics.
Yes.
So I think we always wanted it to feel slightly claustrophobic, definitely. Some of that was just necessity, like shooting in the cabman shelter, which is the little kind of cafe area. That's
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
real location. They're tiny, so you are kind of restrained a bit. So we had some close-ups there, and then I think there's any time we come back to a wide, I kind of wanted it to feel lonely more than anything. So we've
Hmm.
got a couple of those in the cab shelter. There's one of his wife at home, but then a lot of the other work, like the stuff in the cab. I was pretty adamant of wanting to make that feel as real as possible. So we didn't shoot on a low loader. We had a private stretch of road that we had traffic
Hmm.
control on, and we're in the cab with our actor Jay driving. So if you try and get a Panaflex 35 mm camera inside an old cab, you really don't have much room to move. So, if anything,
Yeah.
some of the frames I would have liked to have been a slightly bit wider, but we really had to kind of stick with this
Hmm.
kind of cut off close up. But I think it works well and
Yeah.
works with the themes, yeah. But it's always a mix of creativity and just what we can do.
Lovely. Lastly, I wanted to know if you have any future projects or a thing that you're working on us, like on for us to expect from you as director
Yeah,
or as a writer. Who knows?
yeah. I'm writing my first feature at the moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
I won't say too much about that, but it's about an experience I had being mugged on a train in London, and it became
Mm.
a
Hmm.
kind of it's almost like a crime thriller in a way.
I'm excited to see that. I hope it has like the same vibe and look to it as Black Cab. I imagine it like just with that log line. I imagine it like that.
Something in
Hmm.
the same world, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be happy to see it when it comes out. Thank you very much, James, for your time, and I'm sorry for the Wi-Fi dying
Well,
out. That just
we
gets to show that technology sometimes isn't the best, and we should stay with humanity
exactly
and take your black cab instead of the automated things.
exactly.
And as a reminder for our readers and viewers, Black Cab will be screening this Friday, 21st at 2:30 p.m. as part of the UK Spotlight section on Holly Shorts. Thank you very much, James, and have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.